having only a slightly better week than Bill Belichick. Coming up here next, let's dig inside the Celtics City finale of the 9-part docuseries. Houdini Harden rises again, and more details on Bob's Bar. And look at this backdrop. I'll explain in just a moment. All right, welcome inside another episode of Watch D.A. Live, everybody. And this does not look like our normal backdrop. That's because it's not our normal backdrop. About 15 minutes before showtime, suddenly, Casa Amendo lost power. So it could be one of those brief power outages, and I waited about 3-4 minutes where it just flashes right back on, and that didn't happen. So you know what? Yeah, that's right. Roll up your sleeves, blue-collar DA, dug into his bag of tricks and went to go fire up the generator. Usually you don't need a generator in May, but such is life. We've had tons of rain around here the entire day. Storms last night, so probably something got wet, snapped the power line, tree branch came down, a tree came down, something like that. And so this is where we stand. Generator is popping, but the generator does not provide enough power to power all of Studio DA. That's got studio lights. That's got its own Wi-Fi band and network. That's got a whole lot of stuff going on. So we've shifted things into the basement bar area because all we need is these lights and a Wi-Fi strength from upstairs. We got that. And so we're good to go. Just took a little tinkering, but right now the generator's pumping, and as long as that thing doesn't kick the bucket, which certainly is in play, we should be good for tonight's show. Like I said, we'll talk about the NBA playoffs. Let's talk about Bill Belichick's wild week. But I want to start with the Celtics City documentary because when it launched 9 weeks ago, we had on the director, Lauren Stowell, and the showrunner, Gabe Honig. Now, this was the brainchild of Bill Simmons, and this was put together on not only with The Ringer, but also on HBO Sports, and it was streamed on Max. So it just wrapped up on Monday, the final episode. After 9 episodes, and after the entire thing unfolded, kind of an epic docuseries, I said, why not have Gabe back on the program? And since we've had him on the show, he and I have been texting a little bit about the show and chatting about it because I've been locked in the entire 9-part series. So now that we've wrapped it up, let's bring in Gabe Honig for his return engagement. Gabe, what's going on, my man?
What's up, man? I love the ingenuity and getting up and running, and really appreciate your support and the chatting along the way for the last 9 weeks.
This interview could be 15 minutes. This interview could be 12 seconds. I have no idea. So we're just going to try to jump right into the meat and potatoes of this as soon as possible. I thought, it's hard to say, you didn't have enough time because you had 9 parts, 9 hours. Who gets that much bandwidth? But I'm telling you, I feel like you guys had to chop off good stuff because as good as an in-depth as it was, I felt like there was a few moments where it jumped from chapter to chapter within one of the episodes. And I said, I bet you they have more there. So because of the history, because of the championships, because of the sagas and storylines, were there good stories, sound bites, etc., that you even had to chop out of 9 hours?
Of course. I mean, we wouldn't be doing our jobs if we just got the bare minimum of 9 hours. So, yeah, there was always a story here, a story there. Some episodes were easier to get down to an hour. Some were harder. But yeah, I mean, then also we just made creative choices of just like, we have to streamline the story. But yeah, of course, there's always something left, which I'm sure you're going to ask me a follow-up question on that.
Okay, so I thought everything, I thought it was, and I talked about this on my Sirius XM radio show, I thought it was a beautifully made documentary. I think it paced really well. I thought that just like graphically, you guys didn't get in the way of the shots. You stayed out of it. I thought the music was poignant, but also it moved things along. Everything, I thought the tempo was great, the depth was great, etc. I got to the bird years and I said, this probably needed another episode because there's so much that happens in the bird years that it almost feels like it's the most important part. Now, I know the start with Bill Russell and Cousy is vitally important. We know the big three in '08, vitally important. We know all the down years, the 90s and 2000s, but the bird years felt, as I watched it, I said, nobody's done this as well as they did. Really digging inside that decade run. And I'm wondering, did you feel like that chapter could have been its own, maybe not 9-part, but you probably spent 2 episodes of the bird years, maybe 2.5, 3 full?
3 full, yeah.
Okay. I almost thought that it could have been 4 or 5.
So, I mean, first of all, I think, and Lauren and I were talking about it this week, it's like, if the biggest note you get from people is just wishing that it was longer, you've done a good job. So, so congrats to us. Sure. Could we have made another hour on the bird era? Yeah, of course. It wouldn't have served the story better. I mean, I also don't know. There wasn't any new information that we had that we took out. So it would have just been more stories that have been out there for a long time. The bird era is also pretty heavily documented with a lot, scores of books and several documentaries made on it. So we wanted to just bring fresh perspective to some of the bigger moments and also see how that bird hour fit into the greater story of Boston and the Celtics.
No doubt. This is what you did well. You balanced everything out and everything felt like you gave it significance and time. I just thought that when it came to the bird mythology, I feel like I've seen so much on Russell and Cousy and the early years. Maybe the 70s hasn't been documented as much, the 2 titles there. Maybe not at all. But once you got to the big 3, I was like, this feels so recent. I'm not feeling as though I missed anything of this era. Whereas the bird years, and maybe it's because of my age, I'm 46 years old, or I'll be 46 next month. So that's the prime of my youth. I'm like, I really didn't know they all hated Fitch. I really didn't know that Parrish and Bird had a clash. I really didn't understand that McHale busted his entire rest of his career because of the 87 series. I really didn't understand all of that stuff along the way. And so I did think that you guys uncovered stuff that I thought it was worth, at least giving yourselves a pat on the back. I don't think you just kept covering the things that everybody covered.
No, and I think to your point, if we added that extra hour, we would have just been telling stories that have been told. We pointed the camera places, and no one knew that Parrish had that issue with Bird. That's the first time he ever said it. Jackie McMullen, who did that interview, was also shocked. I mean, she asked several follow-ups right after that. She was stunned that he felt that way, and she's known him since the moment he arrived in Boston. So it's I'm glad to hear you say that, but we wanted to make sure we had room for the things that fans didn't know, and I do agree. The Fitch era was the Fitch mutiny was really interesting to us because it was something that Larry Bird, who's very particular in what he says, in his interview he was really pointed about how annoyed he was with his teammates for quitting on Fitch and how important Fitch was to his life. And one little tidbit that didn't really belong anywhere, but Larry Bird introduced Bill Fitch on his Hall of Fame induction. So And for us, that was interesting too, because it's this moment in time where Bird's not lockstep with his teammates. And I don't think people really think about it like that. I think that Bird was probably very challenging to play with. And I shouldn't say probably, people told us he was challenging. Genius always is challenging, right? And he's a basketball genius.
So for those that didn't watch the doc or don't know, Bill Fitch was the first coach of the Celtics when they won in 81 with Larry Bird. Things got sideways. He was too tough of a coach. Most of the team said, we're not playing for this guy anymore, but Bird loved him. Even though he got fired, Bird held a resentment against his teammates for basically quitting on Bill Fitch. What didn't make the documentary, which I was blown away by afterwards, was I didn't realize Fitch coached the 86 Rockets, who the Celtics played in the finals. And that was perhaps the greatest Celtics team ever, the 86 Celtics. Did you guys try to find a way to fit that narrative in?
I think there's a cutaway or two of Fitch on the sidelines during that sequence. But yeah, again, that's when you're just like, there's so many different places to point the camera. And, at the time for the Rockets series, it was just a coronation at that point. And the most interesting thing too was like the Ralph Sampson and again, just it always has to be about both the Celtics and the city. It was also that crowd, the Boston Garden being a character. So but yes, there was a bit of a revenge there, but I don't think that the Celtics could have been the Celtics with any other coach other than Casey Jones. I think Bill Fitch, he really served a vital role. And I think Parrish says it in the doc. He was training those guys for those harder moments, and he was hard on them. But that has a shelf life, and I think we see it all the time with coaches. There's a certain shelf life where that being a hard ass kind of runs out. And I don't think the Celtics would have been as great as they were without Bill Fitch at the beginning, but they couldn't be as great as they ended up being with Bill Fitch as the coach. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think if you were going to do an extra episode, there is certainly a story there where how did Bird feel about going against Fitch? How do the rest of the Celtics feel about going against Fitch? How did Fitch feel about going against the Celtics? As you said, it's a coronation, but it does go 6 games. And there is the Ralph Sampson moment, which is he kind of loses his mind when he's such a calm demeanor guy. That is pretty fascinating. But also something, and not to belabor the Bird point of the Bird era, but at this moment in time, I feel like Bird now grows in mythical status every day because of social media. Unlike the more recent eras, unlike the oldest era, there's all these anecdotes now about guys that played against Bird where they say, yeah, and he said this and then did it. Or he said this, this, and this, and then wouldn't you know it, he did this. And that's now kind of all over Instagram and TikTok, et cetera. So it kind of begs the, oh my God, I can't wait to hear more of that stuff. But at the end of Bird's career, along with Parrish and McHale, Red Auerbach actually had a trade on the table that he declined of trading Larry Bird. It seems impossible to believe. Danny Ainge wanted him to do it, but there were offers out there to trade Larry Bird.
Yeah, in our research, there was one offer. I'm sure there were others, but yeah, there was one offer. Don't ask me off the top of my head what it was. Whatever Danny Ainge said in the doc is what it was. And yeah, at that time, Bird was injured, and yeah, it was never going to be Larry Bird again for a full season. He was there in spurts, but yeah, and it's something that Ainge, took forward in another few decades, and ends up trading Pearson Garnett and turns Pearson Garnett into the next potential Boston Celtic dynasty, which is just wild.
Yeah, Ainge, this is a fascinating subplot as well, is that Danny Ainge was the guy that Red Auerbach traded out of that 80s team, and he kept all the other old guys. And Ainge was the guy during that era that said, trade all the old guys. And he said that to his GM's face at a Christmas party, and to his bosses, to his players, to his teammates. Ainge ends up becoming the GM, and then trades away the guys like Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett to reboot the next era. So it's so interesting how that came back around. With that being a backdrop, that 08 team, the big three, Garnett, Pierce, and Ray Allen, totally frayed at the end. Ubuntu, goodwill in 08 had completely dried up a couple of years later. I was in Boston working 98.5 The Sports Hub. We had tons of anecdotes and stories coming out about just how bad it was in that locker room. Were you guys ever going to include where Rajon Rondo throws the water bottle at the projector screen as Doc Rivers is pointing out one of his mistakes, because that basically got him, isolated and voted off the island in Celtics land? Yeah,
we have that story from all angles. I think what I found really interesting was all of those guys were really open and honest with what went wrong at the end and why there was a falling out. Again, yeah, you have to make decisions. And, I think that by and large, like all of us just leaned into the character of it all, and the Ray and Rondo disagreement and how that, like, just the anti-Ubuntu-ness of it all was the cleanest and most concise way to tell the story of them breaking up. But yeah, that's another one where, like, you could have done an hour on the downfall of the big three. It probably would have been compelling, but then it gets you further and further away from the thesis of what we're doing here, which is that it is the story of the entire 78-year run of the Boston Celtics. But yeah, there's just crazy stories. There's another story that's pretty well known that's in a great book by Michael Hawley called The Big Three, where, every so often to blow off steam, those guys would put on boxing gloves and, like, box each other. Like, they would just go round, they would just team up and go round to round. And yeah, there was a moment where Ray and Rondo went at it, and where they kept going at it, and everyone had to, like, break up the fight. So yeah, there's a ton of stories. There's, KG, everyone's got a KG story, everyone's got a Paul Pierce story, everyone's got a Rondo story, everyone's got a Ray story.
One thing, I'm going to be honest with you because you're a friend, I felt lacking, and you can tell me why you made the decision, was why Paul Pierce got stabbed. It's a tragic, traumatic incident. It scars him literally and emotionally for the rest of his days. It's fascinating to see the type of wounds that are still there, again, literally and figuratively. And we see that story being part of his story the entire time he's there, including when he's traded, saying, I spilled blood in these streets and they're going to trade me. But we don't know why guys jumped him at a nightclub and stabbed him nearly to death, even though he took the stand at a trial for it. So what was the story there?
I mean, there's another one where it wasn't super clear to anybody. Like, I think there's a lot of conjecture of what's going on. Paul's never been super clear about it. And yeah, it just, again, story-wise, in the same way, like, yeah, I mean, Len Bias and Reggie Lewis, it's, Len Bias, pretty clear what happened. Reggie Lewis, it's very murky. It's not about that. And I think that's, like, the way that Lauren and I and the rest of our team went into it. It's not exact. It's like why he was stabbed wasn't as important to us as what it did to him. And we wanted to see the character of Paul Pierce and see how he tried to get through it. And the 82 games is more important than just having a bunch of people just throwing theories at the wall.
Fair. Clearly, Rick Pitino plays the most polarizing interview subject in this. Everybody else kind of has a bit of a, all right, I could see that. But boy, Pitino, and it was interesting that your words kept ringing in my mind after our first interview 9 weeks ago, where it was either you or Lauren and you said, well, Rick told his truth. I think you said that. Rick told his truth. So when you sat down with Rick, everybody else in the documentary basically says, look, Rick ruined the franchise. He drafted Chauncey Billups. He traded him 51 games in. He wanted to win right away. Didn't matter what happened down the road. That's not the way to build a winner. His expectations were unrealistic. He wasn't all in, all of that stuff. And like, he just drove everybody absolutely insane. He demoted Red Auerbach to basically the basement of the Garden. He said, I'm pushing you away. I make all the decisions around here. And the way Rick told it was like, yeah, it wasn't as good a coach back then, or I shouldn't have been a GM, which was his, okay, he acquiesced. He said, I didn't need to be the president. But also he kind of shrugs his shoulders. It was like, I'm just a speck of dust in the long lineage of the Celtics. When in reality, he actually plays this enormously controversial and much debated role in Celtics history.
I think that if you watch it, you come up with your own, and I think that's the way a really good doc works. It's you present both sides and you let the viewer kind of make their own determination of what their truth is, right? Everyone has their own version of it. I thought it was very important, and I still think it was important for Coach Pitino to sit and tell his side of it. He never really explained it. I think it was important for him to own up to the fact that, like, it didn't go well, and that, he shouldn't have been president. I agree with your assessment, by the way, of like, yeah, when he's saying I was just a grain of sand on a beach or whatever. Yeah, well, he tried to affect change in the most historic franchise. So no, you're not. In those years of your tenure, you did change a lot. You tried to basically, like, yeah, as you said, demote Red, just kind of change what the Boston Celtics were about. So yeah, we asked all those questions to him, and that's what he presented, and yeah, you see both sides of it. So yeah, it's interesting. It's like, as you see the reaction to this series, that one definitely got a lot.
There's only one thing that I was left going like, I wonder why. Mm-hmm. And Bill Simmons approached this a little bit in one of his interviews, that many of the antagonists of the Celtics didn't want to be on camera. And I thought, oh, that's so weird. Isaiah, Magic, LeBron, all of these enemies of the state, and none of them wanted to be interviewed. And I thought, that's so weird because, I mean, yeah, okay, it's a Celtics doc, but like, I thought James Worthy came off great in this, and Worthy was happily anti-Celtics. He loved being anti-Celtics. So how much of a bummer was it? And what's your thought on why so many of those guys just didn't want to talk?
So the why of it, I think, Bill Simmons has said numerous times, the Last Dance kind of, freak people out. No one wants to be made to look bad, and no one wants to, be the villain. It was funny because, like, when we were doing the captain, I can't tell you how many people were like, am I going to look like Jerry Krause in this? So, like, people are totally aware of what could happen. So I understand, we do have some of the same executive producers of The Last Dance on this. And so when we do outreach, people, they do their research and they see who it is. And yeah, there's a few of those names you mentioned that all I really wish happened was that they got on the phone with Lauren or me, and we can tell them, like, hey, look, this is what these are the questions we're going to ask you. These are the moments that we want to explore with you. And, with Isaiah, that's the one where I'm just like, I'm really bummed. And I understand Isaiah didn't want to talk, most likely because of the comments that he made, right after they got eliminated in '87 in the Eastern Conference Finals. That sparked a lot of controversy. He also was, made to be a villain in The Last Dance. But, like, we also know that Isaiah Thomas had a friendship with Bill Russell that we wanted to explore. That the crazy story that we really wanted to get in there was that when Isaiah throws that pass that Bird picks off, that turns that series in '87, Isaiah gets the ball stolen. After the game, Bill Russell calls Isaiah Thomas and, like, gives him a pep talk. And, like, that story would have been so great getting from Isaiah instead of the two reporters we have telling that story, that we tried it just didn't land. And also, like, Isaiah has said numerous times publicly that, like, the Celtics taught the Pistons how to win. Losing to them in '87 and playing against those guys taught them how to be champions, which we also thought was interesting. In the end, like, what I told Isaiah's people was, like, he won. So I don't know what he's, so worried about. We're just going to present him as an opponent. Same with Magic, same with all these other, with LeBron. I wish we got him. I think we did a great job of, you don't really feel their absence. And I also agree with you 100%. James Worthy is the man. He was great.
Yeah. I mean, and Magic. Jerry West was phenomenal. Yeah. Because Magic specifically is so charismatic. So is Isaiah, but Magic he's never the enemy. He's always is charming and amazing. And he won twice against Bird. So It would be like, he would have the ultimate role on this of, like, and I got him back in '85 and '87. And what can you say about that? So, yeah, that was weird to me that they didn't want to speak. Also, it's just a sports documentary. It's not like the George Carls, and I guess Jerry Krause does get his legacy, I guess, does get tarnished in his after that. But it's like, so Isaiah's life didn't change much, I can't imagine, because of The Last Dance, nor would it after this documentary as well.
I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't know how those things, I'm not Isaiah Thomas, so I can't speak for that, but I agree. And also, like, it's not the same. we weren't going to set him up. There was no gotcha.
Definitely.
I'm not saying that's what happened in The Last Dance either. That's the way he feels. That's the way he feels. So yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I really wish those guys would it's just sports.
And you never know how you will be framed, so I can empathize with that. But I bet you if they had watched this 9-part series, they would no longer be worried that they would have been framed unfairly, because you guys were very level, very even-handed about everything. So, like I said at the outset of this, man, I thought it was just an exquisitely made sports documentary, really just a documentary in general. But I tend to consume a lot of these, and I just thought there were a few things along the way. I'm like, oh man, that was good. Oh, they spliced that in well. Oh, that ended right at the right moment. Oh, that picked up right at the perfect moment. And I texted you this. Some of the footage from the 60s is extraordinary because there's so few games that were recorded on film or television from the early days of the NBA. Even through the 70s, there are so few games. Simmons wrote about this in Book of Basketball, that when he went back to really study the league and the history, there was just limited footage to watch. It's not like NFL Films, who has been filming every single game of the league's existence since the 60s. This is a limited trove of footage you guys had to work with. And I never felt like it was lacking. I'm like, oh, they got that play. Oh, they got that shot. Oh, they got that instant replay. So great job by you guys all around. It was, if you haven't seen it, it is definitely worth digging into this spring and summer.
I appreciate it. Yeah, our editors in those early episodes, we kept saying they're working with cave drawings here. They crushed it. It's insane. The NBA only has 10 full regular season Bill Russell games in their entire archive. That's all that exists. The rest of the Bill Russell games are playoff things. So all this amazing basketball has been lost to the ages. And our edit team is just I was in awe of them those first few episodes because they had so little to work with and they made it really dynamic.
It's awesome. It's available right now on Max. You can stream it all. All episodes right now are available, so you can binge it or take your time. As I did, I kind of spaced out one a week, or maybe if I missed one, I did 2 the next week. But it was all well worth it, man. Gabe, great job on this. Thanks so much for joining us twice along the way, and we'll certainly be in touch. Can't wait to see what your next project is, buddy.
Awesome. I appreciate your support, and thanks for having me on.
You got it, man. Gabe Honig joining us here on the show. He's the showrunner for Celtics City, the documentary about the C's, and not just former athletes and coaches, et cetera, and reporters. Belle Biv DeVoe is in there. They're a Boston band. Donnie Wahlberg's in it as well. So you have some great 80s pop culture references and icons in there also. So I see in the comments a lot of people are commenting on the liquor stash behind me. What you're seeing here is this is my basement, and this is over there is Studio DA, and over here is the rest of this basement. What we did when we bought the house, about 5-6 years ago now. I was doing the show during pandemic upstairs in the guest room, but then AJ came along, and I said, well, Studio DA's got to move somewhere else because the old studio became the nursery. So we renovated the basement, and then one side of it is Studio DA, and then the other side of it is like a sitting area, couch, TV, and then bathroom, and then the bar behind me. So what you'll see behind me is my liquor collection. And the Bourbon Belle, who's a designer by trade, got the whole backsplash done exquisitely. There you go. That picture in the back is actually Dykstra and Strawberry. It's autographed. An amazing D-Alien sent that to me a couple of years ago when I was still at CBS. So I got that framed and made sure I put that up. That's a painting of Rosie the cat behind me, right there. But behind me you'll see a lot of bourbons. You got a Russell's Reserve, a Town Branch, an Ammunition. I got a Woodford Reserve up there, and then 3 Santo Tequilas, all 3 different kinds that they have. There's a Reposado, an Añejo, and the Standard. So that's what you see on the lower shelf. Then there's another shelf above it you might see, but you can't see the bottles. There's a whole bunch of stuff up there like that. So this is the bunker. This is where you go to be able to escape reality for a few minutes, a few hours. We're doing it over here because we hit the blackout. We had a blackout about 15 minutes before we were supposed to go on the air. So Had to go out, pump up the generator, get that thing running. So the generator ends up doing enough to like run the basics in the house, which is like just these overhead lights here. These are not studio lights. And it runs the Wi-Fi upstairs. So I'm connecting to that as we do it. Right now, Studio DA, very dark. Right now, it's like the old Boston Garden. It is dark, closed, shut down. So I thought Celtics City was phenomenal. So glad that Gabe could join us here on the show to talk about it. It has been a week for me, a week going on what feels like 5 years. Monday, AJ brings home a stomach virus. He's home from school on Monday. He recovers in 24 hours. He's doing well, you know. Can't knock him down. He goes back to school. On Wednesday, I go to work. I'm feeling fine, doing well. Come back home, take my nap on a Wednesday. Wake up. I'm like, oh my God, I am out of it. I'm dazed. Like, boy, that nap. Sometimes you take a nap and you're more tired because of the nap. But I'm like, I feel really lightheaded right now. That was the first day that I got AJ stomach virus. 48 hours later. I am still not 100%. I dealt with that on Wednesday night, all day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday. And let me just say, the frequency with which I had to visit El Baño was terrifying at times. So I'm past that stage. I'm good. I'm stabilized. Got the energy to do this show. But it has been something. And we had 4 unbelievable days in a row. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday were like 75 degrees and sunny, not a cloud in the sky. Today, I finally feel better. It's raining all day, blackout. It's going to be raining for the next week. So, you know what? Mother Nature, thanks for nothing, okay? Thanks for nothing. So I might hit this after the show tonight. I wanted to get into some takes here, but first, let's do some Bob's Bar action. Aiden, can you hop on screen here for a second? Just because I wanted to get your vibe here on Bob's Bar. We are now under 40 days away, a little over a month away, Sunday, June the 8th. And you and I spoke earlier in the week. You will be making your trek down to Bob's Bar, which is amazing because that's going to be your first ever Bob's Bar experience, right?
First one, yeah. I'm very excited. Even just talked to family about it over the weekend, figuring out how we're going to get there, what we're going to do. And it's a whole day. I mean, you and I both have been very open and honest how we're getting rolling at about noon Eastern time. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we're going to go through the afternoon. It's really going to be a kickoff to the summer. It's already been nice for the Northeast this weekend, I can speak for. But yeah, June the 8th, get your Sunday ready, get your summer ready. I simply cannot wait. I've thought about things that I haven't even talked to you about what content can we get from the day to use for the rest of the shows in the summer. And none of that is possible without you, the aliens, coming up and showing out. So show out, be there June the 8th to see all these beautiful memes come to life. You may see a few of these individuals at Bob's Bar on June the 8th, and maybe some ones that will just make a cameo appearance here.
As I've said before, we have some RSVPs already. We have Carlos with a K, who was RSVP'd. We have Zach Gelb, RSVP'd. Of course, Mraz is RSVP'd. Shep has RSVP'd. Now, Tom Doyle, a.k.a. Pat Boyle, has got to be on the air that night now that he's new king of the overnights, but he's going to try to hustle his ass out there for a few hours at least and maybe head back. Won't be able to partake in the festivities too deeply, but that's okay. I know that Randy in Ohio, Randy Trask, has made it known that he's coming out, which I'm so excited about. He was at last year's Bob's Bar in November. Saw him at a number of the other station events, which is just phenomenal. I know Backwards Brian is coming out as well. I know the dudes from Albany are planning to come down. I know Kristen in Buffalo has been trying to make plans to come down as well. So we have just a ton of just tremendous people that are going to all show up, and celebrities do du jour. There's always going to be some ridiculousness. And I've been reaching out to some live music this week. And I'm very excited about some of the feedback that I've gotten. So I'm trying to pick my way through who I think can bring the best energy. But I'm thinking about 2 o'clock is the live music. So between noon and 2, we'll play the playlist and we'll get some good vibes going. And then Aiden, I think around 2 o'clock is when we bring in the live music. And they're just like up there in the backyard. Entertain us right now. Let's bring it.
Maybe we should have one of our comedians join us. We could have plenty of live entertainment. We could have music. We could have comedy. We could have Schwartz hiking hot dogs. We could have, as Spencer writes in the chat, maybe Dina Lohan makes an appearance. Has she been reached out to?
We could reach out to Dina Lohan. I'm going to have Marez do a little research on that.
I don't know how many else cameo appearances we can make, who else we can invite, but we're spreading it throughout the alien universe and beyond of who wants to come to Bob's Bar. If you got any more suggestions of who we can reach out to, hit us up in the chat. Totally.
And we are going to have tons of giveaways over there as well. Last Dive Bar is going to step up and have a bunch of stuff there, merch for you guys, for giveaways. I think Tropical Bros will have some good stuff as well. So if you can make it, man, definitely got to try to make it happen. Sunday, June the 8th. You can stay Saturday night and wake up early and come out and do the first half of the day. You can stay late and get the hotel room Sunday night and do it that way. I know Moist Pork is going to be there. He's always super fun to have. So it's just going to be a tremendous group. And what it really is a great big thank you to you guys for making this year of Watch D.A. Live so special, and the first 18 months that I've been at SiriusXM so special. So we've had SiriusXM parties for the DA show with Babchick, the office parties, the Bab Bash. So I know that all the listeners there are getting their love as well. But I want to do something for the old school D-aliens and those that have found me here and Watch D.A. Live each and every week and subscribe to the channel and just been, one with the channel, as we like to say. So that's why we're doing this. And if you feel a connection to this show or to the other D-aliens that you see in the chats or what have you, it's definitely going to be a great place to go. And maybe you wrap it into a little summer vacation. You take a few days, you do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday in New York City. Maybe you do a day at the beach on Long Island on Saturday or something like that. It's always tons of stuff to do. Long Island is beautiful. They got vineyards on the North Shore. They got all this great boating and fishing and stuff like that on the South Shore. You can go out far. You don't have to go out to the Hamptons. You can go out to Montauk, which is beautiful. But on the North Fork of Long Island, it's like arts and like fisherman stuff and like old Long Island. It's really cool. So ton of stuff. And then, of course, there's always New York City, Manhattan, and the surrounding areas, which is a ton of fun. I think the Mets are in town starting on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if they're in town over the weekend. But if the Yankees...
Even better, I was just going to put a baseball note in here.
Yeah.
Red Sox Yankees that weekend at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh, okay. Sox Yanks over the weekend of the stadium. There you go.
All my Boston family come down. Red Sox Yankees. Even if you're just a baseball fan, you want to get the greatest rivalry in the game going. Be there, Yankee Stadium, Friday through Sunday, I believe.
There you go. That's awesome. All right. So that's perfect. So yeah, all of that is on the docket. Can't wait to see as many of you guys as humanly possible out there. We will eat, we will drink, we will listen to music, we will make a bunch of jokes, we'll have a good old time, and we'll do a live show out there as well. Watch D.A. Live will be live out there during the show, during the proceedings. So I don't know what time we'll go live yet, but if you can't make it out there, obviously we want you to watch it here live on the YouTube channel as well. All right, let me get into a couple of things here about the last couple of days of the sports world, and let us start with the James Harden stuff. So I don't know if you want to throw up the Furious Five here. We're a little flying by the seat of our pants since we are shifted over to the generator portion of the program. But it is uncanny that James Harden can pull such a no-show in a Game 7. Is it not? It's almost satisfying. It's almost securing to know that, I don't have to worry about life being toppled over in this way. There's so much unknown in the world, and yet when a Game 7 happens, the comfort of familiarity, James Harden will disappear. The Houdini Harden effect. 7 freaking points. 7 points, which is incredible because the reason that the Clippers were in the playoff race to begin with when you had Kawhi miss 45 games was because of how good James Harden was all season. James Harden played at an all-star caliber level all season. When Kawhi came back, they meshed perfectly. And down the stretch, they won 18 of 21 games. And then you had a chance to really prove that with Kawhi and Harden healthy, the Clippers, this was what they were in full. That you could say, well, early in the season, it wasn't who we really were because there was no Kawhi. Or late in the season, wasn't who we really were because we were trying to mesh. But here you go. You had a postseason series where both those guys were healthy. And Ty Lue hadn't had that. And Kawhi had missed so many playoff games prior to this. And then it was Paul George being injured. Then Paul George leaves. And you had both those guys on the floor at the same time, healthy in a Game 7. Winner take all. And not only did you lose, you got annihilated. You got annihilated and Harden didn't show up. You got annihilated and Houdini Harden had 7 points, which is why it's so hard to take James Harden seriously as an all-time great. Prolific scorer, an MVP, a guy that put up so many points and had so many All-Star game appearances. And had the misfortune of running into perhaps the most talented basketball team of all time, the 17 and 18 Golden State Warriors. But when we look back at James Harden, what will we remember? Will we remember all of those crazy lunging and ones? Will we remember all of those scoring moments? Will we remember the All-Star games? Or will we remember the fat suit, shooting your way out of Houston, and your Game 7 no-shows? It's at the very least both. And you could make the argument he is one of the greatest players ever to have some of the greatest no-shows ever. And Game 7 against the Nuggets, boy, there is no greater no-show than Game 7, your team getting obliterated and you scoring 7 points. That's impressive, even for Harden. Well, let's talk about Bill Belichick, shall we? Because this just keeps going from bad to worse. The latest on Bill is that he has reached out to the former Bears PR director for perhaps hiring him to clean up the ongoing mess. And immediately you say, that's a smart move. Perhaps the first smart thing that Belichick has done in months, if not years. Because having Jordan Hudson run PR has been nothing short of a calamity. When you have Charles Barkley basically looking into the camera and saying, I think my friend needs help here. Now, Barkley is pretty loosey-goosey. Barkley is usually good for a few one-liners, jokes, and let boys be boys. When Charles Barkley is looking into the camera and telling people, my friend might need some help here, I might need to step in, you know the inner circle is wondering what the heck is going on with Bill Belichick. SNL used him as a joke off the top in the cold open on Saturday night as the presidential executive orders were being signed. Right now, Bill Belichick is the ultimate punching bag and laughing stock. Right now, he's a joke. He's a joke. And the most important part of this to me is not actually that he's a 73-year-old guy dating a 24-year-old girl. A lot of people can't get past that. A lot of people think that age difference is really weird. My mom does. My wife does. I think most people I talk to do. Most people that I hear talk about it on the radio or TV bring that up. And that's the punchline of the SNL sketch last night. And look, it's weird. My father-in-law texted me when I was talking about this on the air this week, and he said, if my daughter came home, which is now my wife, with a 70-year-old man when she was 22, I would have throat punched him. That's what he said. That's what my father-in-law said, that he would have throat punched Bill Belichick. So a lot of people are stuck on that part, and I understand why. That part is terribly weird. But I can't sit here from afar and judge whether they really do feel like the perfect fit. I got my doubts, but okay. What I can say is Bill Belichick is such a hypocrite because through his entire career, it was, you got to earn it. You got to earn it. Nothing's given, which was something that Tom Brady was driven crazy with. Brady felt like, I've earned it. Can you give me a little leeway here? And Bill wouldn't let him get anything. No favoritism, no benefit of the doubt, no favors done in negotiating. And by the end of it, Brady was worn down because Brady said, what else do I need to bring to the table to have the benefit of the doubt here? You're nickel and diming me on every single negotiation. You're beating me up all the times you can beat me up. You know, why? And what Bill would say is, you get treated like everybody else. Everything is earned. Everything is earned. Everything is earned. Which, hey, that works because they won a title in 01, 03, 04. They were a dynasty in the first half of the 2000s. They win 3 more later on in Brady's career. They're a 20-year kind of fortress of dominance of the AFC East. They're in the AFC Championship game just about every single year. They go to all of those Super Bowls, and they're always a machine of turn over the roster. The moment you think you deserve something, you're out of here. Oh, you think you've earned a better contract? You're gone. We'll get somebody else in. Nope, you haven't earned anything. Guys that had won Super Bowls, you're out of here. You think we're going to give you something? No. Rob Gronkowski, worn down to a nub to where he had to retire because he just couldn't take Bill Belichick. Gronk, one of the greatest tight ends of all time, could not take playing for Bill because everything had to be earned, right? Gronk came back. He would play again, but just not for Bill. Still had football left. Couldn't play for Bill. So don't you think it's interesting and the height of hypocrisy that Bill Belichick made a 24-year-old philosophy major with no experience in PR, his PR person? Don't you think it's remarkably hypocritical that Bill Belichick walked into the offices of Chapel Hill, an institution that's been around for 100 and some odd years, a very well-respected athletic department who has many championships on the basketball side of things, and told those people who are all paid professionals, have experience in public relations, sports information, sports administration, university administration, all that stuff. He told all of them, she supersedes you. This 24-year-old philosophy major without any experience in your industry supersedes you. CC her on all of my emails. And her say is as significant as your say. That's what we've learned through the emails that have been made public, through the research of The Athletic, because it's a public institution and they can ask for public record on emails, interoffice emails at a public institution. I find that to be hilarious, pathetic, and completely hypocritical. Tom Brady doesn't get the benefit of the doubt, and this is the greatest quarterback that's ever lived. Rob Gronkowski, no benefit of the doubt. That guy is one of the greatest tight ends ever to live. 24-year-old philosophy major from Bridgewater State with no experience in this industry gets pushed right up to the front of the line, CC her on everything that's coming through me. She's going to have an office here, and she's running things. Do you think maybe the other people in that department might not have done some of the things that she has done? And I found it laughable when in an Instagram comment section, as Julian Edelman was talking about how, hey, this is just what PR people do. They put up the stop signs when the questions get a little too close to the fire. And Nikki Glaser also said, this is what PR people do. I would have loved to ask Julian Edelman and Nikki Glaser, so your PR person when you're being interviewed on The Tonight Show, or your PR person when Netflix comes to you and wants to negotiate a deal for your stand-up, your PR person walks out of the room for a half hour and refuses to come back throwing a temper tantrum? That's how you guys do business? Oh, it's one thing to try to steer conversations a certain way. It's another thing to throw a teenage girl hissy fit and walk out of the room for a half hour. I'm not coming back, which is apparently what she did. It's a joke. And the fact that Bill is reaching out to a real NFL PR person to try to clean this thing up tells you all you need to know. Finally, he understands he looks like a moron. He is a punching bag. And the sooner the better to understand that, because frankly, you're not really worth that squeeze anymore, Bill. Honestly, to sit down and do that interview with CBS Sunday Morning, who only does softball interviews, and make it difficult on them, forget even the relationship stuff. Bill didn't want to talk about Robert Kraft. Bill, snorting and snickering and silence, if that's what you're going to do, well, we're not going to sit down for the book. You could do that in press conferences because that was required. That's an NFL requirement. After games, on Tuesdays, what have you, you've got to meet with the media, and if you want to stone silence them, stare daggers through them so that they move on and you just get released from your tour of duty, fine. You're asking for the publicity for a book here. You're asking for them to do this profile. And you can't be bothered with the line of questioning? I mean, get real. So it's in some ways kind of perfect, because Bill Belichick's emotional maturity is actually probably equal to hers. And that's why they get along. And that's why they've met. And that's why Bill thinks that she's savvy and smart. And that's why she probably relates to him. He's such a baby. He's such a remarkable baby. And so is she. And it just has unfolded here in front of our very eyes. And it's really extraordinary to watch an athletic icon, a coaching icon, just basically, squirt water in his own face, slip on the banana peel over and over and over again as the court jester, but he's not good at being a joke. He doesn't know how to laugh at himself. And he is absolutely the joke. He's the joke now. It's remarkable. It's so remarkable. And by the way, from the Jordan Hudson standpoint, I think she thought, this is where I get to make my bones. This is where I get to make my career. And here's where I'm going to be a power broker. Well, you know what comes with that? A lot of digging into what's going on. And now you've got reports on how Bill signed off on a bunch of different mortgages for her, a bunch of different, multi-million dollar homes that she's now buying to rent, to own, what have you. She's now got a real estate portfolio of $7 million. She's now a PR person. She's now a publicist. She's now running communications at the spring game in her bedazzled cape. Well, all of that, what you want, celebrity, power, influence, comes with scrutiny. And now you're getting it. And once you got it, now suddenly it's, oh crap, let's hire somebody who actually knows what they're doing. Yeah, which actually should have been the way to handle it from the start. All right, gang, we need a little Q&DA here, wouldn't you say? We got Q&DA here, and it's always good to get into the comment section of the show. And so, Aiden, why don't you rip through a few of the your favorite comments from the night?
Yeah, let's do it. And let's start with our friend Randy, who is supposedly coming to Bob's Bar. Thank you, Randy. At the very beginning, yes, we flew very higher than Katy Perry did. Speaking of CBS and debacles that unfortunately went on their air, the mothership did fly higher than Gayle King and Katy Perry and Jeff Bezos' wife tonight. So thanks to you. Thanks to the generator for finally getting us on the air tonight.
Yeah, the generator has saved us, which is good. And Katy Perry now has also become a punchline, right? Have you seen some of the videos that have surfaced from her recent tour? I mean, she's just getting clowned.
Like a stunt double performing on stage or something like that?
I don't know, but she can't dance. She's not very in sync. She doesn't have much rhythm, and she's trying to go through some type of dance routine, and it's really awful. And she's wearing ridiculous costumes. She's got an oversized toilet. She's got a turd coming out of the toilet. It's something else. I think she's lost her mind. I think going to space clearly was the start of us realizing, oh God, Katy Perry's not cool anymore.
Bilotti better get ready because she sounds like she's no longer chained to the rhythm.
Oh, wow. Waka waka.
Moving on. Delta 9 Brian had the same question I did at the middle of the show. AJ is already in school already?
Yeah, so it's toddler school. It's for 18 months to 24. I think you could start at the school as young as like 6 months, but it's daycare basically. But when we go to school, there's multiple classes. So your age group has a different class. So he's in the 18 to 30 month or something like that. Maybe, yeah, because he's in the year and a half. Yeah, 18 months to probably 2.5 years, because he's going to be 2 coming up this month. So school, we use that term loosely. It's a building with different age groups and different classrooms.
It's OTAs, which are optional, but you should really go, right?
Yes, I'll tell you what the day is. It's you get there, you get a snack. It's like a breakfast snack. Then you do an arts and crafts project. Then I think it's playtime. Then it's nap time. Then it's snack time again. And then it's playtime. So, school.
School. One of my first memories that I can remember is having nap time, and I think it was kindergarten. Don't you miss that nap time was actually part of your school agenda? I know I do.
Yeah, I remember nap time in kindergarten too, and I find it amazing that I was able to fall asleep in the middle of a classroom with my classmates. And he does great. Like he's down for, I think they all go down for about an hour and a half, which is just wild to me. It's like, you're in a classroom on the floor in a sleeping bag and everybody just sleeps for an hour. You know, toddler life. Gotta love it.
That's actually a great point. Here's, and I think this is a perfect segue to our next question from Wallace, because the place that I take nap time right here is sitting next to my newspapers. And Wallace asks, he would love to know what newspapers I have on the wall. I don't think we've done this before. Maybe I don't think we should save this for the post-game show, but here we are. So this is actually a collection that was started by my parents, shout out, when I was 4 years old and the Red Sox were going through their miraculous 3-0 comeback against the Yankees. They actually kept every Boston Globe newspaper from that run delivered to the front step. And so I have the victory of the World Series in 2004. I also have all the ALCS ones stuck in my closet. Also in 2004, they kept the third Patriots Super Bowl in 4 years. So that's the one where they beat the Panthers. Deion Branch named Super Bowl MVP. So I had those 2 prized possessions with me. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. Nobody else will have this. And, I wanted to frame them. And I was like, wow, maybe I can make it really full circle with the final 2, which are, you could say, the start or, beginning of the Boston sports dynasty, and you could say maybe the tail end, sans the Celtics, hopefully. But you have the 2018 Red Sox championship here, and then finally the 2018 Patriots championship over the Rams. So as you see the headlines, yes, simply the best, one for the ages, and the dynasty rolls on. And then my beautiful Pfizer Forum panorama, home of Marquette basketball, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So there you go, Wallace. There's your Furious Five, if you will.
It's amazing that there's not enough space on your wall for all the championships that you have seen in your lifetime and the newspaper articles.
And actually, I should note right above me here, like I'm pointing to the heavens, is the 2024 edition, June 18th of the Boston Globe, Sweet 18, Celtics 18th championship, right above me here.
Because in your lifetime, you've seen 6 Patriots, you've seen 3 or 4 Red Sox.
The 4.
4.
04, 07, 13, 18.
18. You've seen
So
2
that's
Celtics. 2 Celtics
10,
and the Bruins.
13.
13.
That's 12 and 1 Bruins. So that's a total of
Outrageous. 13.
13.
Imagine having, I mean, there's no space on a wall for 13 titles. That's unbelievable. 13 newspaper covers.
I really am sentimental about it because the year that, and I won't explain it explicitly. You can Google at home. The year that Bill Belichick was hired, year Tom Brady was drafted, same year I was born, all comes together. So
Wow.
we're just all up from there.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
So dating myself here, and let's do one more before we get to the winner. And indulging, because you know what? For all the people will be in the comments, right? Too much Boston talk. We got Celtics City on tonight. Let me just tell you something right now. Celtics are playing the Knicks next round, and I'm tired of all the New York talk. I've been dealing with it for 25 years. Oh, are the Knicks good? Are the Jets going to be good? Let's start the A block with get up. Where's Aaron Rodgers going? For the city that's actually won some championships, it's nice to actually spend some time on it this way. Soapbox descended.
Well, I can tell you, I'm certainly rooting for the Celtics because I can't wait to see Knicks fans, specifically Babs, just have to put a cork in it because I got to deal with it every single morning. So I'm rooting hard for Celtics in 5. I put cash on Celtics in 5.
Wow. Okay. Didn't expect you to be on my side here, but let's roll.
Yeah.
You know who else is rolling and having an amazing night? Our gal Fietti, Kristen in Buffalo. She dusted off a football food of the week for dinner tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Taco tater hot dish. How about that?
Ooh, taco tater hot dish. That sounds amazing. That sounds like the type of thing that I'm going to need to eat after I finally get back on track. I had this stupid, whatever this virus was that AJ brought home, and I've had no appetite. So it's just such boring stuff I've eaten the last couple of days. I just don't have the appetite. But when you come back from that, then you're like, I want to eat everything on that menu. Whatever a taco, is that taco hot dish? That sounds
tater hot dish.
Taco tater hot dish. That sounds like what I really need to just dig into.
Yeah, that sounds like year 1 or 2 of football food of the week, because as we know, the ingenuity got stale a little bit by the end. So that sounds like a really creative idea that came from the first few years of the dynasty.
Well, yeah, the creativity dropped off so badly. We needed Kristen to actually do football food of the week because Mraz just mailed it in every week.
It became Dipsy Doodle land, so we couldn't really move it forward anymore.
With bacon.
It was on life support, as you might say, which leads very nicely into the winner of the Last Dive Bar T-shirt tonight, which is Toonces, 2 onces. As we got together and had our technical difficulties boarding the mothership this evening, Toonces wrote, instead of Watch D.A. Life, here, Watch D.A. Life. Watch D.A. Life. A little dark, but a newcomer to the YouTube chat, Toonces.
You know what? Nice job. Honestly, I'm going to send my generator a Last Dive Bar T-shirt. This has been amazing. I can't believe we're running this whole thing on extended power. Just outrageous. I mean, what are the odds? Of course, the power couldn't go out at 4:00 in the afternoon, which would give me time to figure out everything. It couldn't go out 5 minutes after the show. It had to go out 15 minutes before the show aired, so we had to get on late. But you know what? We're making it happen. I love this comment from Wallace. Is it considered multitasking if you listen to the show while Golden Girls is on the TV in the background, asking for a friend? The answer is definitively yes. Any 80s or 90s sitcom that you are playing in the background while waiting for this show or doing anything in life is absolutely multitasking, and I absolutely give you a badge of honor for doing so. I follow all these Instagram accounts, shockingly so, that just do like retro TV and retro sports stuff, and one of which just shows like the promos of what episode of what is coming up. It's like, this week on Golden Girls, Blanche has a date with the dentist, but how does it go? And then they just splice in a clip. I just watch the promos, and I'm just like, man, watching TV back in the day was so fun because there were so many shows that just like had that same hook. It was like, let's see, it's like this week on Webster, a friend at school is up to no good. Will Webster fall for his shenanigans? And then it's like, oh, Webster, it's like Tuesday on ABC. You're like, I would watch that episode. Now, who knows what's going on? You got to do this, you got to do that. You have to multi-streaming packages. You binge it, you don't binge it. Do we even have a family sitcom anymore? It's like, I just watched that and go, yeah, that's a golden era. And so, yes, any TV shows from those years that you are still watching, I am all for. Last Dive Bar, amazing. Let me just get their read in right now. Use our code Mothership for 15% off your order. That's basically going to knock off your tax and shipping. Go there, hoodies, t-shirts, beer glasses, etc. We're going to have a bunch of Last Dive Bar merch out at Bob's Bar to give away, like we have in previous Bob's Bars as well. So make sure you are there for that. But Brian and the gang over there, awesome. We've been working hard on this merch store for Watch D.A. Live. Next week's episode, we're going to unveil at least one of the designs, so you guys will see what type of things we're cooking with next week. But the merch store is close to being a reality, and all the gang at the Last Dive Bar have been phenomenal in helping me out there. So make sure you go and shop around with them. LastDiveBar.com. Use our code Mothership for 15% off. All right, before we get out of here, let's give a Little Mo shout out. And the Little Mo laugh of the day comes to us from Move Out Day. If you are a parent of a college kid, perhaps you are a college kid, this, for many schools, has been last week of classes. And so how about Dan Campbell's daughter moving out of college this week? And Dan Campbell's daughter has this sleep sack, SAK, I don't know. But Holly can't. SAC, sorry. Yeah, so it's like a Bursa sack. Look at this thing that Dan Campbell's got to put in the back of his freaking pickup, which of course he has a pickup truck. Look at, where does that fit in a dorm room? Whose dorm room is big enough? Look at her size. First of all, look at how tiny she is compared to her dad. Then look at her size compared to the sack. Look, I mean, this thing swallows up Dan Campbell, and he's a massive man that played in the NFL. Where are you putting this? My dorm rooms, there was absolutely no place, none, to have something like that. Absolutely none. When I moved out of the dorms, okay, and into my apartment, I could have found room for it. But man, oh man, I mean, that is an amazing thing to get into a dorm room. And what do you do? Does that just swallow you up and you sleep in it? Aiden, have you heard of this? Like, do you read in that? Do you watch TV in that? Or is that literally for sleeping? Because it feels like when you get into it, it would just collapse completely around you.
Yeah, I'm with you. The size does not seem proportionate to Dan Campbell's daughter at Michigan State. And my sister is now in college at Auburn. They, have a lot of exquisite girly stuff, but that seems outrageous. And for one thing, SAC is the correct spelling of the love sack. It's the place where we can get together. But the thing that just caught me was him on all four, basically doing the Superman on top of his own pickup truck. And as the credits in the upper left share there, that was filmed by Holly Campbell, Dan's wife, and the mother of the daughter. And she just must be, you can hear them, you know, in the version of sound that you can go watch on Instagram. They are just cackling, watching the patriarch of the Campbell family just going on all fours, a Superman pose, basically. And from a hygiene perspective, the question I had was, is it like a slip cover where once it comes out of the pickup truck?
Yeah, right.
I'm sure I've seen a lot of stuff. Does that get washed, or is that just in? You can't take it off because then it just becomes like packing peanuts underneath that.
Yeah. That's a great question. How could you possibly wash the thing now that it's been in the back of a flatbed? Oh, that's incredible. By the way, we have some details on Kristen and Buffalo's football food of the week. Casserole, layered tots, taco seasoned ground beef, diced tomatoes, onions, peppers, and jalapenos. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. Man, you know what? Maybe we make that for the Bob's Bar. That sounds so freaking good. And then to top it off, tater tots. You can also add cheese, but I make mine dairy-free for the husband. That sounds great. We might have to get that done for Bob's Bar, because that would be a huge, huge win, I feel, for the crowd at Bob's. And we'll leave you with this. B Squared, my man from Kansas City, just wanted to remind me that projectile diarrhea and vomiting is a rite of passage in parenthood. You're not part of the club until you've had to clean your kids up and yourself in the same week. Well, B Squared, thanks for the vote of confidence. I can happily report that only one of those happened. I won't tell you which one. We'll leave that to your imagination. But we're all good now. We've stabilized. It's been a lot of rice. Very bland foods. Very, very bland. I talked to my mom. She's a nutritionist. She goes, well, what'd you eat? I said, I've been eating light, although I was feeling better, so I had a smoothie, pomegranate, blueberry, because I thought I needed some like fruit in my system because I lost a lot of. She goes, well, that'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. Nice job. She didn't say you idiot, but she was about to say you idiot. Probably the pomegranate blueberry smoothie wasn't the best decision while I was still fighting off whatever AJ brought home. So anyway, you live and learn. Parenting. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for watching. I love you very much. I can't wait until June the 8th. Hopefully you can make it. If you can't, you'll be watching it right here. Onward and upward to all of you. We will be back at it on Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. We'll have videos throughout the week right here on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you pass this along to your friends as well. Tell them, hey, they do cool stuff on this channel. Subscribe, watch Sunday nights. And when we have this merch store open, we will give you guys plenty of opportunities to get some stuff at discount, because just wanted to say thank you once again for making this show and this channel and this thriving YouTube kind of audience and experience that we have going on bigger and better than ever before. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate it very much. It all means quite a bit to all of us that work on this channel on a day-by-day basis. Thanks to Gabe Honig, the showrunner of Celtics City. Thanks to Aiden Hatton, the Marquette Marvel and executive producer of Watch D.A. Live. And thanks to all of the D-aliens for all the colorful language, comments, and additions, contributions to this show tonight. I'm D.A. Be good. Be good to one another. I'll see you tomorrow morning on Sirius XM Channel 82. Until then, the mothership disconnects. Thank you, generator.